This SR600 engine. The most frequent repairs fall into two categories. It's either just replacing the crankshaft bearings, or a total failure of everything below the cylinder head. Regarding the whole engine, the part with the lowest failure rate is the cylinder head. The cylinder head rarely breaks, but crankshaft wear. This is extremely common. The main symptom is a clatter-clatter knocking when releasing the throttle. The camshafts usually look perfectly fine. This kind of knocking sound when letting off the gas mainly happens when the engine is warm. If it's also obvious when cold, you'd better fix it. Otherwise, the third cylinder is prone to blowing out. These valves are still okay. The cylinders are fine. This SR600 is essentially the same engine as the Benelli TNT600. But having repaired so many, in my opinion, its quality can't compare to the old Benelli TNT600 at all. I've repaired TNT600s with 110k or 120k kilometers. But SR600s with only a few thousand or 10,000 kilometers actually end up being repaired more often. It's basically the two scenarios I mentioned at the start. So, what's wrong with this engine? It's the severe case. Actually, from my perspective, manufacturers should make engines better and better, and more mature over time. But with this SR600, I really can't figure it out. However, looking at certain engine parts, Zhejiang did make some optimizations in the manufacturing process. But those optimizations are quite trivial. Still, as a mechanic, I shouldn't complain too much. After all, fixing these has brought us quite a bit of business, right? I'm being a bit unprofessional here. Sorry, SR600. This engine has now retired from the stage of history. It has been replaced by the engine of the RS race version. Alright, look inside the oil pan, it's full of debris. The condition of this machine is quite pessimistic. The oil strainer also needs cleaning. The best part is yet to come. Since you've watched this far, if you like the video, give us a like. The SR600's biggest advantage is cheap spare parts. Many SR600 owners told me. First, they buy it because it's a 4-cylinder. Second, because the bike is cheap. Third, because the parts are cheap. Let's look at the crankshaft bearings first. You can see the wear and the exposed copper. This phenomenon is all too common. If left ignored, it ends up like this. A blowout at the third cylinder. The SR600 basically always blows at the third cylinder. It would be strange if it blew at any other cylinder. If an SR600 blows its engine, it's always right here. There are also some cases of burnt gear teeth. But after checking these gears, they're fine. Later, I'll show you a comparison between SR600 bearings and the old TNT600 ones. I mean the crankshaft ones. Check out the difference. Look at the difference. The connecting rod cap of cylinder 4 can't even be put back on. That one is definitely scored. Now let's look at cylinder 1. Cylinder 1's rod cap has some wear. You can see it this way. Cylinder 3 is the worst. The rod journal is scorched black. It's even turned blue. The crankshaft definitely needs replacing. I'll use a used part for the owner to save some money. Look at the piston from cylinder 4. Still usable, the coating is still there. Cylinder 3 is a disaster. Look at this connecting rod for cylinder 3. The piston is also shattered. The connecting rod is mangled like this. Even the tough rod bolts couldn't hold on. They snapped. So you must pay attention to that knocking sound when decelerating. If the sound is faint, you can keep riding. But if it's loud, you must get it replaced. Cylinder 2 piston is also pretty good. Still usable. Cylinder 1 is also decent, it's okay. But the crankcase is totaled. So, it doesn't really matter if the cylinders look okay. It's a monolithic block. So the whole thing has to be replaced. This one hole just signed the death warrant for the engine case. Now, let me show you a comparison. This is a bearing from the old TNT600. The finish is quite good, right? Now look at this SR600 bearing. This is the crankshaft bearing. Doesn't it look like it has a matte finish? The old TNT600 used Schaeffler bearings. This SR600 bearing just has a hook logo inside a circle. I don't recognize it. I don't understand. Why Tianjiang changed the bearing supplier? The crankshaft and the bearing are in direct contact, rubbing against each other. Obviously, the lower the friction coefficient, the better. These SR600 bearings are so rough. How could the wear not be accelerated? The engine case on this machine isn't broken. I took it apart yesterday, look at that bearing. I didn't post the teardown video for that one. I just filmed this severe one today. This problem is just too common. So, SR600 owners, be careful. If you hear a clatter when letting off the gas, and the sound is too loud, you must take it seriously. They almost all look like this inside. It's just a matter of severity. Also, I've always hoped that Tianjiang would improve their assembly quality. Look at how this crankshaft bearing was installed. It was probably installed without the proper tooling. Look at the back of this bearing. It was actually shaved by the crankcase. Look, this piece is the same. Don't you think this will affect the oil film clearance? The shaved metal bits are stuck to the bottom of the case. Once the case is closed, I'm convinced it affects the bearing clearance. Alright, that's enough for now. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.